What's up, YouTube? You're watching Cam Gaylor Outdoors, and today I'm going to do a quick comparison between the Beretta 92F and the Beretta 96A1. So this particular Beretta 92 was made sometime in the late 80s. My dad got this gun when he turned 21 back in the day. And this is my Beretta 96A1. I'm assuming it was made sometime within the last year or two because I picked it up brand new this year. So let's just talk about some of the differences. First, I'm just going to pan over them and see if you guys can spot anything. So we're coming over the Beretta 92. Now, there is a little bit of rust on the grip screws I have here. I'm going to get some new grip screws for this one because I don't like that there's rust on it. Now we're panning over the 96, and it is in immaculate shape. But, you know, let's talk about some of the big differences between the two. The 92 is chambered in 9mm, and it holds 15 rounds in the magazine. The 96 is chambered in 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, my favorite caliber, and it holds 12 rounds in the magazine. So I thought it was neat that they actually will, the magazines from each gun will lock into each other, and it will actually lock the slide back. Now I'm doing this one-handed, so I can't really do that. Here's a 40 caliber, 12 round magazine going in the 92, locked in no problem. Same thing with the 9mm magazine going into the 40 cal, locks in no problem. Okay, I just thought that was funny, but it does lock in and the slides do lock back. So let's talk about the differences. Obviously the biggest difference, this is not a railed model, so no rail. The A1 over here has a rail. So that's going to be a big difference, but that's by design. Yeah, it's not anything different. I really wanted to focus on the smaller differences. So moving down to the magazine, the base plate on the magazine of this old 9mm mag is definitely thinner and cut at a weird angle, while the 40 cal magazine has a thicker base plate and it's straight across. So if you can see the differences there. And then also the lanyard loop, the hole is bigger on this old 92F. It just seems the hole is bigger than on this 96A1. The hole looks smaller over here. So not a very big difference, but it seems like a difference nonetheless. Now, as far as the gun themselves, on this side of the gun, they basically look the same. The writing is going to be a little different, but the serrations and everything look pretty much the same on this side profile of the gun. Different writing. Both of them are made in Italy. Serrations are the same over here as well. Now, on the beaver tail, I did notice that it seemed to have a slightly different profile. You know, if you look at the beaver tail on this 92 here, it just seemed to be a little bit more sharp looking, I guess, than over here on the 96. It seems like a thick boy. I don't know why. It just, you can see the edge is real defined and sharp on this one, and it's thick and not sharp on the 96. I don't know if that's a difference between the 40 and the 9, or if that's just a newer Beretta versus old Beretta. Now the trigger guard on the 92F is squared off, and it has serrations on the front here. And if you go over to the trigger guard on my 96, it's actually rounded with no serrations. So there's a big difference. So if you want to look at those two compared, trigger guard. Let's go to the top of the gun. So if you look at the top, they look basically the same, except for I noticed on the 96 over here, it says 40 cal on top of the barrel, and the sights are actually set up a little different. This one has sort of, I call it, I don't know what you would call it. It's just got a white dot in the middle of the rear sight and a white dot up front on the old 92. And on my 96, it has a 3-dot system like most guns, more traditional these days, or more standard these days. But other than that, they look the same. The top of the barrel does say 40 cal, PB 40 cal, or 40 Smith & Wesson, but everything else looks the same on the tops of the two guns. Now, when you flip them over on this side, there are some differences, and we're going to look at those. So between the two, can you guys spot any differences? Because I can. Obviously, there's going to be different markings on the two, but there's also different build differences. So on the takedown button on the old 92F, it is more of an oval, and on the 96, it is a round circle, so a little bit different there. And then on the 96, it has sort of like a milled out section here where the trigger thing goes, you know, Got some cat hair on the gun, but I'm doing this on a rug, so that's to be expected. And I have a cat. But you see that sort of milled out ledge? It's completely flat on the old 92. It's just a flat piece of metal there. Other than that, yeah, the writing is slightly different on this one. They're both made in Italy. And if you look at the end of the barrels, of course the 9mm barrel is going to look like that. The gun is clear, so I am pointing it at the camera. But the hole is definitely bigger on the 40 cal. That's to be expected. And other than that, the biggest difference is, I'm going to try to rack the slide to show you this, is, let's see if I can rack it one-handed maybe. Well, I'll just have to hold it back. The guide rod is metal on the old 92F, and on my Beretta 96A1, the guide rod is polymer. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but that's a polymer guide rod versus a metal guide rod. Let me go ahead and rack it back. I'm going to sit the camera down for just a second, rack them both back, and we can take a look at those better. So here is the 92 with the metal guide rod, and now let's look at the 96. Has a polymer guide rod. You should be able to see that difference now. But yeah, other than those few differences, they're basically the same gun. Let's go ahead and shut the slide on this too. But there are differences, and I don't know if this differences on these, like the rounded button and everything. I don't know if that goes along with the modern 92 FSs. I don't know. I don't have a 92 FS. I'll probably have one someday, but the 92F is an older model, so maybe these are just differences that got updated over time. I don't know. I just thought it was a fun comparison, and I wanted to show that to you guys. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.